from the governing side. Let's put our hands together for Miss Nafisa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to refer to the second speaker's points, the 2 points, rights of the child and better human being. So by our opposition's logic, the rights of the child is to have a family. We already said that. Of course, they'll have a family, just won't be married. Adele is married. She has a kid. Is not married. She has a kid. She has a perfectly good child who's growing up healthily. And then the second point, a better human being. Okay, so by his and their definition, 5,000 years hence, we've never had any bad people because all of the children of married people are good human beings. Is that a logical idea, that married people don't give birth to bad or irresponsible children? Then that would mean there would be very few divorce rates, right? People wouldn't get divorced at all. There wouldn't be 70% of a divorce rate if every child born of a marriage didn't get divorced later on, didn't grow up to be irresponsible. Opposition is not showing any evidence. Just let me finish my point. Opposition is not showing any proof, only emotional pleas. Better human being, it's a sacred institution and whatnot. But is this logical? None of this is giving us any proof that marriage is not outdated.
Yeah.
They're
On
only
that
showing us
point.
that it is outdated. Let me finish my point, then you can say your point. It is outdated, and so is these ideas, these emotional traditions. All the people on the opposition side are men. They cannot possibly understand what kind of pressure tradition places on women like us, that we have to get married by 24. If you don't get married, mom says you'll get ovarian cancer. Those things are true problems. And you are also saying that people who do not want to get married are responsible for bad people. Does that mean the chairperson is a bad person? That he's not decent? So of course, make your point now.
The person who said people who are not married are not normal was your deputy prime
You
minister.
said
Please
that it is a
clarify.
sign of decency. Marriage and a family situation creates decency. That's what you said.
On that point again, Madam Whip Speaker, it's about time side government prove how is marriage an outdated institution
You see,
apart
we
from
are
deviating.
giving them evidence over and over again that traditions are placing pressures on women. It is placing pressure on men, according to them even. This is why it is outdated, because these are social pressures. It is not only legal or political pressures. These are social pressures. 70 to 60% of divorce rates. These are creating mental health issues in the community. It's not without consequence.
Why are you blaming marriage for
Yeah,
divorce when it is obviously the fault of people who got married in the first place?
So if there was no marriage, would there be divorce? That's my point. If society did not pressure us to remain married, then there would be no divorce, there would be no guilt, there would be no thoughts that we are committed so harshly on this that we cannot get out of this. It is like putting someone in a cage and then saying, don't blame the cage for keeping you inside. You need to use the lock and the key to get out, and getting the lock and the key is illegal in some societies. You get divorced, your daughter immediately gets shunned from society. Oh, she's gotten divorced, she's spoiled material. That is the idea in our Asian societies. That is the idea even in very conservative Western societies. The problem here is political, social, and in some cases even legal, because according to statistics, the legal practices are that they have the right to inherit property from their spouses and such things. They can collect the life insurance. It is said that there is countless, it is according to the Pew surveys, there are countless murders being done on the basis of inheritance. Wives are murdering their husbands so they can collect their pensions and their life insurance as well.
On that point, Madam Third Speaker, you're not supposed to introduce any new arguments to the debate. Please clarify and justify your action.
My justification is that they are saying that we haven't proven evidence, and we have said that there are social consequences, there are political consequences. We are saying that there are points, and in the last debate, they even talked about how the whip didn't prove any information that they could rebut. So I'm just counseling them in this case. Unmarried is an idea that we cannot abide by. in our Asian societies. In our Asian societies, we think, unmarried, oh, so you won't have children, so you won't be happy? But as we said, that is an outdated institution. Now, what is the new institution? The new institution is simply being. A human being. We have independence. We can choose. It is not that if we do not marry, we do not have a family. They can choose to say there are civil unions, aren't there? But marriages create legal, social, and political bonds that are difficult to break. Breaking them creates problems. Due to the reason that marriage is here is the reason that so much social pressures are put. If marriage, we make it very clear, marriage, not family, not decency, not a unit. Marriage as a legal binding institution that was established in the West 5,000 years ago is an outdated institution. You do not need the bond of marriage. The bond of marriage is the reason gay people are finding it so difficult to stay together. They cannot just have a civil union, they have to have that label, they're married. They cannot, it creates unhappiness. Marriage as an institution, as a legal bond is not necessary, is the point that we're making. We're not saying that you shouldn't be a family, we're not saying you shouldn't have some sort of agreement to stay together, we're saying you don't need to get married. That is our point. We're not saying that your child does not have the right to have two parents. Have two parents. We just don't need that legal bond. That is our point. I'm making it very clear that the point is we do not need the legal bond. That is my opposition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Whip Speaker, Ms. Nafisa. Her name is Nafisa Tabao, so that's why I always
Tabasum.
So that's why I always get mixed up with the T and the N being in front. So it's my apologies. To end the first part of the debate, let us have the opposing whip speaker, Mr. Benedict Leong.
Here, here.
Greetings and salutations to one and all. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question. Are we debating on whether marriage is an outdated institution, or are we debating on whether or not marriage should be abolished?
Here, here.
Because, let me be frank, ladies and gentlemen, what the government team's argument is saying is that, oh, because of what they assume to be outdated, people shouldn't get married. Now, ladies and gentlemen, even the third speaker went on to say that the legal bond binds people together. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have a choice of getting married or not. So why is the government team taking away that choice? We are not trying to say marriage is perfect. We are not trying to say that marriage is good, or we're not even trying to say marriage is bad. We are only trying to prove that it's outdated. Let me give you an example of this analogy of what the government team is doing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to correlate to the argument of divorce. Ladies and gentlemen, if let's say on the newspaper someone gets into a car accident, let's ban all the cars, because obviously the vehicles are an institution that causes people to get into car accidents, because that's exactly what the government team is trying to propose.
Exactly.
Because of vehicles, people get into car accidents.
Yeah, if there wasn't a car, there wouldn't be an accident.
Now, similarly, ladies and gentlemen, obviously you can see that our government team do not like anything that's updated. Don't need to talk about outdated, even updated things. Obviously, if a knife kills people, we should ban all knives. If a gun kills people, we should ban all guns. And obviously, we'll live in a free and easy and ideal world, which obviously, ladies and gentlemen, is not possible.
Point of information.
Yes, sir.
It's an ideal world. What you and the opposition are talking about is an ideal world. Then marriage creates happiness and it creates bonds between families, ignoring the reality of the damages that they're causing. You're not proving a single point that against the point. So that
ladies and gentlemen, my two speakers have time and time again in their rebuttals to the opposing team stated that the people are to blame for divorce.
Here, here.
Similarly, people get into car accidents. Do you put the car in prison or do you put the person in prison? That's my point.
a car is not a person.
Now, obviously, but still, it's okay. I'll move on to my next point because we've been going on and on about this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, about divorce. Now, as I mentioned before, just to give another analogy, just because you broke a leg and you're going to therapy, But because therapy is painful, let's don't do therapy. Let's just live with no legs or not functioning legs for the rest of our life. What's the point in that, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, just to be clear, we are not trying to say that marriage is a perfect institution, that marriage promotes perfect relationships, promotes happiness and all that. That's not the debate today, ladies and gentlemen. The debate is to prove that it's outdated. Now, to give you another example, walking has existed since man was around, but do we still walk? Do you consider walking to be outdated when we have cars, when you have aeroplanes, when you have so many other modes of transportation? The fact, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that we are still doing it now, the fact that you know and I know and everybody knows of somebody or some people who already got married shows that it is not outdated. If something is outdated, we won't be doing it. For example, headhunting, ladies and gentlemen, headhunting by the Iban tribe in Sarawak. They don't do it anymore because that is outdated. Now that is just an example. But when something is not outdated, we are still doing it. Yes?
Yeah, if it's outdated, we should not be doing it. That's what we're saying here. We're trying to prove that it is outdated and we should not be. It's not necessary.
I get your point. Now, ladies and gentlemen, necessary or not is not our debate for today. We are not trying to say if it's perfect for you or it's terrible for you. We can save that debate for a different day. But my team's case for today is that, is it outdated or not? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. If it's really outdated, why are people still doing it? Why are Indian parents still getting their children to get married? I declined because I already have my quota. Ladies and gentlemen, they are blaming marriage for basically every single problem that relates to human life. When clearly, when you're trying to say that, oh, marriage is to blame for divorce, marriage is to blame for society putting pressure, why blame marriage when obviously you have to blame society?
Here.
Let me just repeat this example again and again because that is what the government team repeated again and again in the argument. A knife stabs someone to death. Rather than putting the blame on the culprit, you put the blame on the knife. And because of that, everyone else in the world cannot use that knife anymore if the government team really stands true in what they claim today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. That doesn't make any sense at all. Nothing. No sense at all, ladies and gentlemen. Open your eyes, see the light. Because this is what the government team is trying to claim. They're trying to claim that marriage is the cause for everything, when in fact, it is the people. It is the people who try to force marriage on other people, when it's the people who try to cause other people to do things that are against the will that is causing all these problems. It is not marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. And with that, I would like to move on to the summary of my team's case. My opposition leader claimed that marriage is a unit of family. Now, a unit of family is very important for building a community and all the subsequent bigger scales of community, ladies and gentlemen. So think about it. Without family, you won't have a community. And my second speaker also pointed out the importance of marriage for a child. Now, imagine if the child doesn't have parents, because you need to be married in order to be husband and wife. If they don't have a loving parents, then how can they live properly? And finally, marriage helps to make an individual into what they are. So, ladies and gentlemen, think about the people you know. Think about all the married people you know. Do you want to force all of them into divorce?
Here.
Because that's what the government team is trying to do. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case.
Thank you, Mr. Opposing Whip Speaker. The first part of the debate has come to an end. We will now have 3 minutes for them to prepare their reply speeches, to which the opposition will present their case first, followed by the government. The opposition leader, Mr. Dinesh Jayabalan.
An astonishing set of speeches just to manipulate the truth. Well done, bench government. It's about time I show you the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, side government today, from the start of the debate, I made it very clear. I told them that their burden in this case is to prove to us, prove to you, to our members, how marriage is an outdated institution. Institution. This debate was not about the problem in marriage. This debate was not about how marriage leads to problem and divorce and etc. etc. How is marriage an outdated institution? That is what bench government failed to do today. But that was fine. I was still being accepting. I thought it's alright if the flaws are very, very, very bright. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what they did to us as well. They claim that religion should not be brought into debates. They claim that we are not going to talk about debates in a religious manner. And their third speaker bravely said, we men do not know how to think. Very, very smart statement, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to blame the society for having to set that notion that marriage is a problem, don't look at the society. Reflect on your own statement on judging man for not being able to think. What type of law attack was that, ladies and gentlemen, members of the floor, Mr. Chairperson? Moving on. All three arguments that came from side government was not only disappointing, but it was enraging. Over and over, side opposition set the case clear. We have been telling them, look, we know problems exist in marriage, but why is it an outdated institution? We know the problems exist and the problems can be overcome. The way how side government puts it is as though these problems can't be overcome. Ladies and gentlemen, so many of you here are living a married life and living a happily married life. What side government? If this house accepts the motion, I'm telling you, it's defeating the purpose of having good marriage, ladies and gentlemen. It puts all the successful marriages to shame because what side government think is that marriage exists, marriage causes problem, stop marriages. Ladies and gentlemen, hasty generalization, slippery slope, and appealing to the stone. That's what they did, and that is why side opposition is not going to let this house accept the motion. Now, why did side opposition win the debate? Very, very clear. We are the only team, and we were the only ones who gave you clear, rational arguments on why marriage is not an outdated constitution. In the start, we brought in emotional appeal because we as humans, we have emotions. We wanted to show to you how marriage as an emotional thing has so much of impact, beautiful impact, that side government just astonished. They just disregarded everything. And just because of the small, tiny, weeny problem that can be easily solved. Hello, marriage therapy exists. And also the fact they are harping so much on divorce, right? The third speaker bravely says, oh, if marriage didn't exist, divorce would not have existed. Hello, divorce is the solution out that we gave you for having the small problems that you can't solve, which again they are blaming. Ladies and gentlemen, they are blaming both the problem and the solution. Not having a clear stance, side government has failed us tremendously today. Side opposition today, we were clear. We told you why marriage is not an outdated institution. We were also not emotional, and we didn't attack people by giving in statements without a POI. But all in all, ladies and gentlemen, let me just conclude this by saying one last thing to side government. Dear misled government team, your homes are wrecked. Your castle is overturned. Leave before you're sacked or watch your city burn. With that, I conclude my speech and rest the case. And today, I'll once again reaffirm my stand, our stand, the opposition stand, the right stand for today's debate, that marriage is not an outdated institution. If you still argue on that, it's about time you go home. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Opposition Leader, Mr. Dinesh Dayabalan. And to conclude this debate, we would like to hear from the governing side, Mr. Prime Minister, to make his reply statement.
So the opposition party here, they have not proven a single way in why marriage is not outdated. We have proven that marriage is outdated because it is unnecessary, because it is unnecessary. That is the point of this debate. All of they say that there are analogies, utopia of what if using in the object of a people. But that is really wrong. So let we leave you with an analogy using people, because let us see with realistic. We are stating that marriage is outdated, and now we are going to independence of the people. And next we go to the opposition party that they keep on running away. And the first thing that they stated is that, what is it? the God gave us her, gave us the girl. But is it true that the girl is something to be given? It is all of us that share that bond. And then let's go to the second is that it is the institution that create the people. People create the institution. And they keep on saying that the blame is on the people. It means that the blame is on the institution. And with that proven, they prove that we are right. And all of the thing that they say, it is no religion and it is all what we state. Thank you.
And with that, the debate for this round has come to an end.
Judges' decision.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the results in my hands. And the floor would like to thank the panel of judges for doing a fine, fantastic job of judging. We also like to thank both teams for being here today to have this healthy argument. Let's give it up for Team Futuristic, the governing team, and all single girls welcome the opposing team. It is time to announce. No need drum roll. Ladies and gentlemen, today's motion is that this House believes that marriage is an outdated institution. And I'm proud to present the results that the motion has been declined. Congratulations to all single girls, welcome. And with the futuristic, thank you. Do not lose hope, you have still third place to go for. Ladies and gentlemen, by the power vested in my arms with this gavel, I call this debate to an end.